What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise stream. It is, Thursday? I think it is. Thursday, 12/19/19. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening? 4-game slate, but kind of somewhat of a loaded 4-game slate because we have like a ton of studs. What we don't have, or at least what we didn't have, was really, I think, some of the value necessary to get exposure to all those studs, or at least a fair distribution of all those studs. But curious to hear how you plan on attacking a slate.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just got that little Atlanta bombshell, changing things around a little bit, putting a premier min-price value play option at our disposal. And, one little more kind of news with value is going to dramatically change the slate to stars and scrubs, where prior, we have 4 games that all have nice totals, even though the lowest is 219. Outside of that Clippers one that's up at 235, they're all 220 to 225. They're, all 6-point spreads and under 4 points to 6 points. We have a bunch of, projected to be close and high scoring games. Some stick out more than others, but we really didn't have a ton of good value, and we have a lot of good studs for a 4-game slate. And it's just going to be pretty hard to get a lot of those. So my approach is probably still going to remain that way, because even though we do have this min price Bruno Fernando and what's his name, the kid Cam Reddish at 3.9, I think a balanced build is going to still be optimal today. I don't think, I think getting a $5.5 to $6,500 guy going for 40 plus is going to be worth more than a $3K guy going for, 16 today. So, maybe one stud with a lot of balance is kind of going to be the way I want to approach it. But, we're building a lot of teams. I'm going to try to, on these small slates, I just try to account for every potential game flow and what those game flows impact, which players and how. And, you can definitely cover most of those on a 4-game slate with 150 teams.
Yeah, I tend to like the balance build more too. I think there are some of these guys that are underpriced, and I think I'm seeing mixed reactions or mixed projections for ownership. So that makes me think maybe this is going to be one of those wacky kind of slates. And the mid tier to me still looks great, even with that Atlanta situation where they changed the starting lineup. For those of you who don't know, Atlanta did announce their starting lineup differently. It looks like Cam Reddish and Bruno are starting over Damian Jones and Jabari. So we'll talk about that situation in a second. Real quick, if you are new to the channel, if you're watching us for the first time, please subscribe. Welcome to the WiseTake Nation. Subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. We do this Monday through Friday. We try to start an hour and 15 minutes or so before lock and literally lead you into lock. Hold your hand into lock. We try to we do a little breakdown in the beginning, try to react to the news. First of all, give you guys the news. We pull up our Slack feed for a second and explain how we plan on reacting to the news. So with that said, smash the like button if you're watching this. Really, really appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're more likely to continue to do these, and we're able to do the free content more often when we get those likes. So the likes go a long way to support us. They help us out. So if you're watching, smash that like button. All right, Paulie, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's get through the breakdown. It's only 4 games. We can go game by game. It's only 4 games. Give us a chance to address every situation. I think we'll start off, of course, with the Jazz Hawks game, which is the first game starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The total in this game is currently at 225, up from 224. The Jazz opened up minus 6-point favorites on the road. They are now minus 6.5, with 82% of the bets supporting the Utah Jazz tonight. We talked about the lineup switch for Atlanta. We'll talk about Utah first. Talk to me about the Utah side, Paulie.
Yes, so Conley came back for a game, and now he's going to be out for a couple weeks again, kind of bringing us back to what we've been getting out of them for the last few weeks, which is, increased usage out of Mitchell, Gobert, Joe Ingles, just, dramatic change in his role since Conley went down. Royce O'Neal getting good minutes. And then, they don't go very deep into their bench. Jeff Green was one of the more interesting value plays. And then Emmanuel Mudiay, he really likes 7 deep. Maybe In Yang and Ed Davis get a few minutes, but I think clearly Gobert and Mitchell are studs that you're going to want on this slate, especially Rudy Gobert with this shift that Atlanta made. Not so much going from what was the guy's name from the Warriors, the center. Damian Jones to Fernando, because I think that's somewhat lateral. But Parker to Reddish, is a major size downgrade. And, their starting lineup is going to be very, very small going up against a team with some size. I mean, Gobert's most of their size, and then they're kind of small too. So maybe it's a matchup thing. Maybe next game, depending on who their opponent is, they shift it around. But, Vegas thinks this game is going to be close. It is in Atlanta. I think if I had to pick a game that's most likely to blow out, I would say Utah blowing out Atlanta would be the most likely thing. If I had to pick one, I don't think, I'm not projecting it or not, but that's my biggest concern here in getting too invested in Utah is like, will the game stay close long enough? Utah just, doesn't play in many close games. I will say that Trae Young has impressed me all season, how, he's basically got a group of scrubs and, they're a decent team. They compete, and, any exposure to, Trae Young is going to come with other Utah guys. I don't think I have a Trae Young one-off in the lineup because the only way I see him really smashing is along with other Utah guys, and then from, outside of Gobert, who I just think is in a great spot, like the rest of the Utah guys are meh outside of game stacks. Like, Donovan Mitchell, he's fine, the usage increase, but the price is high, and this guy doesn't go for like 55 pluses all that often. Bojan Bogdanovic is at the higher range of his price. Joe Ingles, I think there is some room, but not a ton. I mean, he's not going to go for much more than 35 to 40. Royce O'Neal is very, very unreliable, but he's been consistent lately. This is the right opponent. Atlanta turns the ball over. They get blocked a lot, so guys can accrue, steals and blocks. But I think the value guys are the ones I'm going to make sure to get some exposure to, like Mudiay, Jeff Green, Ed Davis, because not that they project well, not that I even think they're going to do well, but one of those guys at 3 to 5% ownership goes and gets you that 8x could be the difference on a 4-game slate. So, Gobert I love. He's going to be a core play for me. The rest of the starters I'm not that into. And then I'm just going to make sure to get like 5% or less of some of these value guys because I don't think anyone's looking at them anymore.
Yeah. On the Utah side, I was with you. This game in general, I wasn't terribly interested in. It's only a 4-game slate, so I want to grab some pieces. But on the Utah side, I'm with you. It was mainly the two of Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. Gobert more so, I would agree. Mitchell, I'm looking at around 15 to 20%. I'm not trying to get extremely vested. He has to be really efficient. That's the problem. He takes a ton of shots. The usage is great, but we see him too often miss too many shots. Maybe things are different. We saw, I think everybody just saw RJ Barrett as chalk destroy these guys. And listen, he can. There's no doubt he can. So that's why I'm going to have some. But like Paulie said, his price is up now. He's pretty close to some of the other, players that are just more consistent and have maybe higher ceilings or at least potential to hit those ceilings more often. So Gobert's the main one against Atlanta. It's a good matchup. He's been playing really well anyway. I think that grabbing some exposure to Ingles is fine on a 4-game slate, even though his price has gone up. Look what like you said, look what he's been doing since Connolly's been out. He's been smashing. So even at that price, I don't think it's terrible. It doesn't excite me a ton because there's other guys, but I do like the mid-tier build, and he kind of falls in line with it. But Gobert's the main for me also. Paulie, take us over to The Atlanta side.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like, the only guy that like is going to keep Atlanta in this game is Trae Young. And, any, multiple Utah players are going to be paired with Trae Young. He's just, an awesome DFS basketball player. And then after that, it's just a group of value plays. Fernando, I've seen some signs of like, maybe this guy is worth like a look or two. He got some minutes early in late November, 17, 16, 15, had a 23 and a 19. Like that might be good enough today. The highest he's shown us is 23. I'm nervous about foul trouble. Like I'll get some because he's going to become popular now, but I'm not really that into that play. I actually, I'm into like the rest of the Atlanta value plays, like, Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Herter, Alex Len, and Vince Carter is actually getting minutes all of a sudden. 24 and 21 in his last two games, taking almost double-digit shots. A lot of those are threes. And, no one's playing Vince Carter. Did I say Vince Young? I meant Vince Carter. And they're kind of thin. I don't know what Jabari Parker moving to the bench does. Like, some of the notes on him are like he's fallen out of favor with the coaches. Like, I think he's interesting to get exposure to because he's going to be low owned. And, when he was on the second unit in Washington, he used to smash because he'd get all the usage. And, I'm going to have some exposure to him because of that, because not playing with Trae Young, might be big for him. But there's also the chance where he gets all the way sent to the back of the bench like DeAndre Bembry has, and, he doesn't get any minutes kind of thing. And, like, if that happens, like, who's going to get them? I think it's like Vince Carter already is. I think he's a candidate to get good minutes. And another, similar to the Utah value, just on these slates, that one play that no one else is on, even if it's like 6.5x, could be the difference. And I don't really have like a reason to like one versus the other between Hunter, Herter, Reddish, Len. I'm just going to kind of get like 15 or less exposure to all of them and, throw Fernando and Vince Carter in that mix. But none of them really stand out to me. It's just they're all very cheap and all going to get good minutes. So, they all kind of like have some appeal.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm more, again, this game in general is more like a 20% or 20% to me in general. It's got the potential, but I just like the other games a little bit more. And there's a lot more stuff to figure out. We don't know how this is. I had about 15 to 20% Jabari, and I may lower it to, if it's at 20, I'll lower it to 15. If it's at 15, I'll probably keep it. That's already a low exposure for a 4-game slate without a ton of options. And like you said, there's a chance that him coming off the bench, he could benefit while everybody bails. Yesterday, everybody bailed on Covington. We did the show, told everybody to play Covington. Then everybody bailed on Covington because we got the news that he wasn't starting anymore, which I understand. I'm not saying that those people made a mistake. I get it. I get why they did it. Covington ends up playing basically full starters minutes and ends up playing well anyway. And instead of being, in high dollar cash games, he was like, 70% owned. In certain donkey tournaments, like the GPPs, the big ones, he was like 19% in some of them. It was like, So I don't know how strongly I'm going to react to this. Cam Reddish is a little bit more attractive. I'm going to leave Jabari where he's at. Trae Young's usage should be massive, but I agree with you. I'm not sold that this change is going to be better for Atlanta's chances of hanging around this game necessarily. So I'll have some Young. I'll have some Jabari. I'll have sprinkles. Like you said, a mixture of some of these value guys. I think it makes Alex Len a little more like weird to project now because Bruno wasn't even really playing. Now it's like,
no.
So now what? Is one of those guys getting the boot or are they just going to, And you're right. This very well could be a thing on Jabari. This could be like, Jabari, you ain't playing today, bro. Like, they're just not telling us. Like, Jabari. It's possible. But because we don't know that and because I know his ownership is going to be low, I'll lower his ownership. I'll cap him. Maybe even go to 10%. But I have a little bit.
Yeah. I think 20 is a little too... Like, he's definitely going to see a minute decrease. He already was. Right. And, like, 20% of a guy that potentially could play 0 minutes is a little risky for me today.
Yeah, I agree. Like, again, I was already going to lower him just because of the fact that he wasn't starting. It's just a matter of, like, I don't want to completely bail, though.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. The value plays here are kind of interesting on a 4-game slate. And that's the thing with me. A lot of the value, real value, that's why I like the mid tier so much, because I don't love the basic ass like real value. I don't love it. With that said, Paulie, let's go to the next game. We've got the Los Angeles Lakers visiting the Milwaukee Bucks, 8 p.m. Eastern start. 226 is currently the total, up from 225. Bucks opened up -4.5. They are still at 4.5. 62% of the bets coming in on the Lakers. Public dog today. Anthony Davis has just been announced as a game-time decision, so we still don't know. Rajon Rondo probable. And Avery Bradley, we know in the last game his minute restriction was raised to 25 minutes. He didn't play 25 minutes, but it was raised to 25 minutes. Paulie, we'll talk about the Lakers side first. What's happening? 30s and 7s.
Yeah, so I like LeBron the most out of the Lakers. This is like 2 of the 5 best players in the NBA. AD and Giannis, and LeBron's somewhere in the top 10, I would say. And he thinks he's the best in the league still, so he's going to take this matchup personally, try to ball out. National television, all blah blah blah. Like, it's a good game. The Lakers have been playing very fast lately in the top 10, and Milwaukee's been in the top 5 all season. I think this game will stay close. Unless AD gets ruled out, and LeBron, the Lakers just don't have much. If Kuzma's around, that's like a guy that can take away some usage, but. It's just LeBron and AD on this team, and maybe you say Rajon Rondo is a little bit of a factor, but to me, you got to play LeBron. I like AD too, but I favor LeBron. I'll have some Rondo because he's too cheap at 4,800. I think he will close, even though he probably won't start. And, he's just got that triple-double upside. He's just, he's such a good rebounder when he's out there, and he's always been a great passer, and he's taking double-digit shots, even though he's not that good of a shooter. It's just 48's a little too cheap for what I expect his minutes and usage to be today. Then, I was more into some of the Lakers' value. It's starting to fade with some of these other spots opening up, but Danny Green at 3,900 makes sense to me. The Bucks invite the three-pointer, and he can get hot from 3 from time to time. He'll probably be very low owned. And at 3,900, he'll help you get LeBron Giannis, AD Giannis combinations. And then I think Dwight Howard is worth a look. To stop Giannis, you got to put a good defender on him and have a good rim protector, because he does most of his scoring by driving. So I think they'll play Howard and McGee a decent amount. They just never play McGee a ton of minutes. So I think Dwight Howard's another, very, very low-owned guy that maybe we see increased minutes out of, but it's mostly LeBron, AD, Rondo, and then Danny Green out of the Lakers for me.
Yeah, for LeBron is the main target I want here. I'll play a lot of him. He's probably my favorite stud. From a pricing standpoint, matchup, everything, Lakers being paced up. Milwaukee, as of right now, is like the fastest-paced team in the league, or at least in terms of possessions. So, with that said, I like LeBron a lot. Rondo would be my next favorite. Anthony Davis, not far behind, but with him being a little banged up, and Milwaukee having Giannis, who is a threat. It's bad enough that you've got McGee and Howard down there taking rebounds away from AD and LeBron with that. I am persistent in LeBron, especially because LeBron just busted so hard as chalk from a game theory. He projects well. That's the main reason I like him. It's not just about the projections. You can go check him out at WiseTake.com, but he just projects well. So that's the main reason I like LeBron. When you factor in that his ownership maybe isn't going to be as high as it probably should on a 4-game slate because of the fact that he just busted at 50-60% ownership in the last slate without AD, that keeps my interest. Rajon Rondo, like you said, I don't love the value, and he's kind of like value-ish, but he's got some ceiling. He's got some upside. So I can get behind that as well. Anthony Davis I will have. Probably around 20 or so percent. If he plays, he's a game time decision, so hopefully we'll get that news. Is this game on TV? I forgot to check that.
I don't even have to look. It's definitely on TV. Right? First of all, TNT only does 2 games, usually 8 and 10:30, and
TNT. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rajon Rondo. I might raise my ownership on him. Like I try to be neutral with the narrative stuff, but the Rondo on national TV thing,
Yeah, it's been very
it's been
good.
very good to us, bro. It's been very, very good to us. So I'll up on Rondo. As far as the other dudes, like those the Avery Bradleys, the KCPs, I'll grab sprinkles of them. It's a good situation for them, but they're all the same player, and there's no separation for me. There's no talent. Avery Bradley's coming off the bench, so on the one hand, maybe he comes in when they're not playing with AD and LeBron both together, and he gets a little bit more usage. On the other hand, his minutes are capped at 25, and then it's very little separation. Any one of them can get hot from three. They're all 3-and-D players. This is a team where they're going to need the defense for Middleton. They're going to need the defense for some of these guys, and so it's like it's hard. None of them really stand out, so I'll just have like a sprinkle of them. But the main targets for me from the Lakers are LeBron and Rondo. What about the Bucks?
I mean, you got to love Giannis. He gets up for these kind of matchups against other stars, and he's, legitimately the most unstoppable player in the NBA right now. I mean, he's just more athletic and longer and larger than anyone that's going to be on him. Is one of the, best record in basketball over the last 2 years, this team. And, I don't see anyone on the Lakers that can give him much trouble. It's going to have to be doubles. Pace this game's going to be very good. He's kind of underpriced, especially with Bledsoe out. Like all the, other than scoring ratios kind of see an increase. But my favorite play on the slate from this game is Chris Middleton. When I started my research last night, I kind of stumbled upon him and was like, this makes a lot of sense. So, projection sites, I don't see why they're getting him for between like 27 and 30 minutes. I think he's going to play 36 unless the game gets out of hand. And with Bledsoe off, he's going to get some rotations where he's the main usage guy when Giannis is resting. You beat the Lakers with outside shooting. That's what his specialty is. He's seeing, usage in the 30s, even when Giannis is there, like double-digit shot attempts. He gets assists. He gets rebounds. He does it all. And I just expect this game to be very close. I think he's underpriced, and I think his ownership will be low. So I'm kind of going to war with Chris Middleton, but I'll have a lot of him with Giannis. I like a lot of Bucks, honestly. Like Brook Lopez, 4,200, little revenge narrative. And, he's the kind of stretch center that can kind of, hurt McGee and Dwight Howard by hitting threes. George Hill makes a lot of sense to me. Going to get like Rondo's D, and, he's a vet that, has played with LeBron at times and can certainly, do well in short stints. And even Ersan Ilyasova, like the Lakers have size, and, I think they're going to need his size. And he's a, high point per minute kind of guy. In 17 minutes, he went for 21, and, 15 minutes, he went for 21, and 27 minutes, he went for 36 the other day. Like the Lakers do have size. I could see him in a close game getting some more minutes. And, he's another one of these very, very low owned value plays that I just think is worth getting exposure to. I like the Bucks, and mostly those guys. The only guy I didn't mention that I'll have some exposure to, but I think his price is a little high, and I don't know if this is the right spot for him, is DiVincenzo. But mostly Giannis, Middleton, and then little bits of Lopez, Hill, and Illy for me.
Yeah, I love Middleton today, man. It's funny because I'm looking at different projection sources, and a lot of people are projecting him for minutes in the mid to upper 20s, and maybe in a blowout. But if this game is close, if this game is competitive, Middleton is playing 30 minimum. You know what I'm saying? And his projection all of a sudden looks a lot better if you raise those minutes up. So we got him projected well on our projections at WiseTake.com. With that said, I like Middleton a lot, man. I think it makes a lot of sense. Giannis, we know, is a great player. I like Giannis too, but I like Middleton more. Middleton will be a player I have a lot of taking a stand on. Don't think he's going to be all that popular. He fits that mid-tier build you and I were talking about, and I'm hoping he goes overlooked. I mean, in any other slate, when one of those three guys are out, everybody loads up on the other two. the last two games were odd, right? The one was a complete blowout. Who they beat up? I forget, I don't know, the Clippers. I don't even remember who it was. They beat somebody up. The Suns. I don't remember. Then the next game they were getting beat up, so that they basically were quitting on the game, and their scrub guys brought them back into the game. So if you look at before that, the last competitive game they actually had, Middleton, like, he played 30-something minutes. He's not on no minutes restriction. He shouldn't be at this point. He played 35 just a few games ago. So I expect him to play more than the field seems to think he's going to get, and the usage is going to be phenomenal. So I like him. I like Giannis, but more Middleton. And you mentioned George Hill. His price is extremely low. This is a game where veterans typically need to step up. It's hard to really gauge the true minute expectation of these two because those last two games without Bledsoe, the flow was weird. DiVincenzo has been brought in for garbage time, and that last one, it turned into like real shit. So it's hard to really tell in the crunch which way they go. With that said, Hill's significantly cheaper. I'm fine with DiVincenzo, but Hill is significantly cheaper, and the expectation is a lot lower. So I'm good with Hill as value. Brook Lopez for value, right? One thing about these centers the Lakers have, they are big, but they don't cover the perimeter well. So I think Lopez can get himself some pretty open shots for three. On DraftKings, it's really beneficial because the 3 points extra. And if he happens to get hot, he could do the dirty. He could dirty that neighbor, dropping him. Real quick before we move on to the next game, going to remind everybody, subscribe to the channel Monday through Friday. This is where it's at. Leading you into lock, holding your hand, leading you into lock. Let's go. We're gonna react. We're gonna do dirties on the nation, to the neighbors on alert, everything. And please smash that like button, guys. Hit that like button. Likes go a long way. Helps us out. With that said, Paulie, let's go on to the next game. We've got the Brooklyn Nets visiting the San Antonio Spurs. Total in this game is currently 219.5, up from 219. The Nets opened up as 3-point road underdogs. They are now 4-point road underdogs. Public fairly split slightly towards San Antonio. Paulie, talk to me about the Brooklyn Nets side.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen are the two, I guess obvious or pay-ups that I want exposure to. Jared Allen, the Spurs give up the most points in the paint. Jared Allen's just been balling since the other studs have gone down with injury. And, the Spurs have kind of like sent, what's his name, Podol, packing again lately. His minutes been way down, so they don't even have that much size. Even if they play Podol, I don't really care. Jared Allen's a beast. And the only real thing getting in his way is that, his running mate's been playing awesome too. DeAndre Jordan, I like them both. Obviously like Allen a bit more. Then the rest of the team is kind of blah to me. We caught Joe Harris the other day for 8X. First time we played him all year. I'm still all right with him, but his price is a tad higher, and he's going to have good defenders on him. Garrett Temple's another guy that, is similar, 3 and D, just not as good a shooter. His price is a little more attractive, but meh. And then I think I'll have a stab at David Nwaba as long as he's playing. He does have good usage when he plays. The minutes aren't great, but he's, just another one of these low-owned value plays that on these 4-game slates can make a difference. I guess you could say the same for Wilson Chandler. It was just a little easier to play him at min price. Now he's up to 35. You need a little more, but 4-game slate, I'll have like 3% of him as well. But Jared Allen and Spencer Dinwiddie, the main guys, and a little bit of DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Dinwiddie's been chalk almost every slate that he's been on it ever since Kyrie and Karis LeVert went down. And now we have a 4-game slate, and he's not projecting to be all that popular. It's kind of surprising. I understand because you got Trae Young, you got Westbrook, you got a lot of different people here. But, it was just kind of weird. With that said, I think that Dinwiddie is definitely a guy I want to get a healthy exposure to, not necessarily a core play because the position is fairly deep for a 4-game slate, but a guy I want to have some of, especially if people are gonna, kind of bail on him. I know the price is up a little bit, but it is tournaments. We gotta, not enough players in the pool at this point, so the decision's not that tough. Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan, that's a situation I want attacking San Antonio with bigs. Jared Allen is the guy I would obviously, want more exposure to, but DeAndre Jordan is pretty cheap. And he's been playing well these last couple games, even with somewhat limited minutes. You expect him to normally play somewhere in the 20s, but even in his last game, he got like 18 and he still did well. So I'm cool with him. Not a guy I'm going to get a ton of, but That's what this game is to me. A lot of guys I'll have some of. Dinwiddie's the one I want the most, and Jared Allen. And then I'll have, your Garrett Temples, just in case. There's a lot of those. And that's why I don't like the Stars and Scrubs build today, because I'm not that comfortable with the value that we have to work with. Even Garrett Temple, that's not crazy cheap, man. It's like, I do think that Prince is interesting, right? Taurean Prince. Especially because I'm lowering my shares of Jabari a little bit, and like he's a similar price, so it'd be an easy pivot to just grab. I already have like 10%, but it's kind of an interesting spot against, them. With that said, it's Dinwiddie, like I said, is the main. Wilson Chandler, I don't mind. His 19 minutes is annoying. I want him to get like 24. He could really ball, but he's got the upside. Let's go over to the other side. Talk to me about the Spurs.
Yeah, they have really attractive prices, especially going up against Brooklyn. DeJounte Murray is going to be really popular. Good price tag, good usage, right opponent. LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, probably don't get a ton of ownership because of that mid-tier price range, but they should project well. For like 5.5x, no matter where you look at those prices. I mean, these guys are normally 8K and above and just haven't been playing great. DeJounte Murray getting back in the starting lineup hurts them a tad, but, against Brooklyn, multiple guys can go off as long as the game stays close. Rudy Gay's been grabbing double-digit rebounds the last 2 games. Don't know if that continues, but against Brooklyn, it certainly could. And then I like some of the value plays here. Lonnie Walker is a baller, and if he gets minutes, he's gonna do dirties. They seem to want to get him minutes. He had an injury scare last game and only got 10 minutes, but the games before that was 21, 24. He's definitely in the rotation, and he's got 40-point upside if he gets time. He already did it 2 weeks ago, and he's good. So he's one of my favorite sneaky value plays on the slate. I think you could grab a shot of Bryn Forbes, who's going to get good minutes, just really needs to get hot from 3 at 3-7, 5 threes, and you're there. Then Derek White, Patty Mills, Podol, Trey Lyles, I'm not that into. They'll probably be capped at 3% each, but Forbes, Lonnie Walker, I'll be willing to get up to 15% of, and Murray, LMA, and DeRozan, I'll be willing to get between 20 and 30% of today.
Real quick, Anthony Davis will play. Got that information a couple minutes ago, but Anthony Davis will play today. So I'm just gonna throw that out there like that. As far as the Spurs also interesting, man. These guys are going to be really low outside of DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray I'll have a good chunk of on DraftKings. On FanDuel, his price is higher. I kind of like the combination of the Rondos and the George Hills and all that stuff on FanDuel because he's 6-something over there. On DraftKings, though, I do like DeJounte Murray at 5.7. He's going to be popular, but it's against Brooklyn. Now, the problem with DeJounte Murray is it's not guaranteed, even though he's starting. His minutes aren't guaranteed. He started a game the other day and played 16 minutes because Pop didn't feel like he was playing well enough. So they do have a lot of guards. That's a position they're somewhat deep between Forbes and Patty Mills, and they got a bunch of guys that can play point guard. DeRozan can actually play point guard. So Derek White, obviously. So I like Murray. If something happens, I'm worried that maybe should I grab some Derek White or Patty Mills, and the only reason I haven't is because you have to still guess which one. It's not okay, well, if he's going to bust, then Derek White's going to smash. It's not necessarily the case. It could be Mills. It could be Forbes. It could be any one of those guys. But I do like Murray on DraftKings. I'll have a good amount. DeRozan and LMA is going to be really low owned today. It's kind of interesting. And Rudy Gay, too. We talk about not having value. Rudy Gay is really cheap, right? The minutes are a little, You could see him play 20, 21. But you could see him play 26, 27 if needed, maybe even more. And we know Rudy Gay is a pretty good basketball player in general. So I do think the Spurs are interesting. I don't think I need to go any more than 15 to 20 because I don't think they're going to be that popular outside of Murray. Murray I will have a good chunk of again. But I'm with you on that. Let's go over to the last game here. We've got the all by itself, the Late Night Hammer. This is a fucking scary-ass Late Night Hammer to go underweight on if you plan on it. The Houston Rockets visiting the Los Angeles Clippers. Total in this game is up 2.5 points from 233 to 235.5. Rockets opened up as 5-point road underdogs. Still 5-point road underdogs. 60% of the wagers coming in on the Clippers. Paulie D, talk to me about the Rockets.
It's my favorite game of the night. I mean, not just because it's a good high total, but you know, the Rockets, have been to the second best team in the West the last 2 years, and the Clippers all of a sudden are just the odds-on favorite to win everything, and I think the Rockets, want to make statements against them, being like, you don't want to see us in the playoffs, and then get up for this game, and Harden versus Kawhi, and all the good stars in these games, the pace. Really like this game. Expect the studs to do well. Want to get different stack combinations of this game, and plan to have the most exposure to this one. On the Rocket side, now you can get Harden. I think he goes for 70. Depending what you can get around that 70 will dictate if he's worth it or not. I also really like Westbrook today. Actually, we'll have more Westbrook than Harden, which probably means Harden goes berserk because, I hate Westbrook. I never play him. Whenever I do, I get punished and reminded why I hate him. PJ Tucker is fine. I like Capella a lot. And then Macklemore and House are 20% exposure guys. We've seen them go off, especially when Harden gets doubled. They're going to take a ton of threes, which is great for DraftKings. And they all play big minutes in short rotations. So, the Rockets are easy to get exposure to. I will have a lot.
Yeah, starting with the value aspect, the Nua House figures to be very popular on both sites, and it's hard for me to really argue against the opportunity. He's going to get at least 30 minutes, you figure. They're going to need firepower from everybody, assuming, because the Clippers are just loaded. But I like House 4,100 on DraftKings. He's 42, 43 on FanDuel, still really cheap. He's probably the player that I'll have the most of from this game because he's cheap. It's just easy to do that. After that, Clint Capella I like quite a bit. I'm sure a lot of people will. I expect him to be somewhat popular. I'm not going to, I don't know where I'm seeing several different projections for him in terms of ownership. Not sure where he's going to fall, but I'm sure he'll be among the highest owned. It's, his matchup against the Clippers, just a nut spot. So after that, I'm with you. The Harden Westbrook situation. Obviously, I'm not finding myself on a ton of Harden because I'm not crazy about the value. With that said, I do expect him to play well tonight. I totally expect him to drop a dirty and put up 70. I'm just not sure that the value is going to support that 70 around him to make those builds stronger. We've seen Harden go for 80 on slates and still not be in the winning lineup. And so I don't know, unless something crazy happens and we get something more, I'm not really trusting that Atlanta center. I'll get a little bit of them, and I'll make sure I have a little bit of that Harden with those kind of deals. But I'm mostly balanced, and that's going to give me more Westbrook naturally than Harden because Westbrook is significantly cheaper. Westbrook and Beverly got that little thing, they don't like each other, whatever. It is what it is. But that also brings out competitiveness in people. So we'll see. Westbrook's been playing better. I don't love him, but I'll have some. But I think Capella and House are my two favorites from the Rockets side. Take me over to the Clippers side, son.
Yeah, Clippers are kind of easy for me. It's Paul George or Kawhi. I think I favor George by a little bit, but, I'll probably have between 30 and 40 of both. Don't mind pairing those two with Pat Bev and Zubac. And then I really like Lou Williams today and like the idea of pairing them with Montrezl, both former Rockets, but just way too low and, just a game where they're going to need those guys and they'll play more minutes than they normally do. So going to have the most out of the Clippers of Lou and then Montrez and then, Kawhi, Paul George and sprinkles of Pat Bev and Zubac. And that's how I'm rolling with the Clips.
I'm with it, bro. I'm with it. Dropping dirty burgers all day on him. Lou Will, way too cheap on both sides. For some reason, I'm seeing him projected somewhere in the low 20s, mid 20s. I just if this game, if you think it's a blowout, sure, right? If this is a blowout, then Lou Williams gets fucked hard because he's coming off the bench, so he loses that last rotation. But if the game is close, man, you don't think Lou Will's gonna close this game? If this game is close, you don't think they're gonna need his offensive presence out there to facilitate? I love Lou, and because of that, I like Harold. Harold's price is also low. Lou's cheap on both sides. I mean, they're both cheap on both sides. I understand everybody's healthy, but I mean, we've seen them play healthy, and Lou will still get 30 minutes. Montrez will still get 30, and thing, and not to mention, like, even for we just talked about the Beverly thing. I like Beverly. Don't get me wrong. I like him a little bit, but Beverly's gotten into foul trouble almost every time he's seen Westbrook. So there's always that possibility that lose minutes get a little bit more secured, a little bit more solidified. But that second unit to me is looking pretty strong with Lou Will and Montrezl, and I'm hoping it looks like we're gonna get them pretty low owned. So it's a stance thing. We talked about liking the mid tier. We talked about liking that mid tier, and they fit nicely with those mid tier bills with the Chris Middletons and the you-knows and the whatnots. I like Lou more, but I do like Harrell as well because I like Lou and they correlate well. 30s and 7s. What is needed? I'll have some Paul George and Kawhi, obviously. I'm not going to have like a crazy amount, but like the only stud that I'm going to have a real substantial ownership to is probably LeBron.
Substantial.
Substantial, substantiary. You know what I mean? They learned that word the other day, using it, dropping it everywhere. You know what I mean? Tell them that. I went to the pizza shop the other day, bro. Let me get a slice of pepperoni, but I need some substantial ass pepperoni. You know what I'm saying? Like substantial amount of pepperoni. Yeah. True story. That's gonna do it for the particular slate breakdown. Real quick, gonna remind you all one more time, please smash the like button if you're watching, subscribe to the channel. We are a little under a half an hour till lock. At this point, we're gonna flip it over, turn on our injury feed, wait for some news to come in. Hopefully we get some, and we'll talk about how we react. We'll ask each other questions. We'll answer some questions. If you have questions, ask them in the chat. Those of you subscribe to WiseTake.com. My core plays article is up there. I'm ready to update it if need be. For now, I haven't seen anything that makes me want to update it, but I'll be ready to update that if need be. And of course, ask questions. In the Wise Stream, you get priority if you're watching on the Wise Stream page. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll answer your questions if there's time. But the nation, the core members of the WiseTake Nation get the prioritize. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Prioritization. All right, let me flip up this injury feed. We going off. You don't have to look at our ugly mugs anymore. You're going to injury action. Bam! This is the Slack chat NBA injuries channel that we have for WiseTake Nation subscribers. Monthly memberships or higher, day passers do not get access to this. Nothing personal. You get access to all the content. It's the only thing you don't get. But this is one channel where it's nothing but injury feeds. So we're going to pop that up. And if we see anything substantial, we'll do 30s and drop 7s. As you can see, Anthony Davis, AD, was the latest. We'll play. Here we go. We got some questions populating there. T. Cameron says it's Rondo playing tonight. He's probable. We haven't heard anything official, I don't think, but he's probable.
He's playing.
Yeah, it's national TV, bro. He's playing.
Yeah.
Nawaba available to play. That just came in. David Nawaba available to play. What up, LD? LD in the Wise Stream chat. Shout out to LD. Popping in with the What Up Nation. You know. Getting on them.
You ain't got no more questions over there?
I got questions on the other side. Gobert or Capella?
Ooh, very good question. I'm going to say Gobert, but I like them both a lot.
Yeah, that's a very tough question. That's a very, very tough one. Oh, man. You're going to get lower ownership on Gobert. I respect that. But I guess I would have to say Capella just because that late night hammer is just lethal. Lethal. It is lethal, man. Oh, dear. Are you going underweight or overweight on DeJounte Murray?
What's his projection?
Let's see. I'll give you like a range. Anywhere from 35 to 45.
I'll be like at or just under.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna try to be at. I mean, I think he'll do well. I do, but this just like I really like Rondo. You know what I mean? Like we talked about a lot of these dudes. I'm just like, ugh. Are you playing any Trey Young?
Yeah, like 20%.
20. So how much Westbrook are you thinking?
I don't even want to say.
Oh God! You doesn't even want to say it. Oh no!
He's my highest exposed player.
Oh wow! Wow, that's wild. Oh, yeah. It's not wild because it's a bad idea. It's wild because you're doing it. That's why it's wild. Because I know your disdain for him, bro. Tell me who your second highest stud is. Is it LeBron? Are we 2 for 2 with the Paulie D hate list? Is it LeBron? Is he the other?
It's Giannis.
Okay, it's Giannis. Okay.
Right. Yeah, but LeBron's like 2% lower. He's right there. Those are three studs I'm going to war with. Is Westbrook, Giannis, LeBron. Those are all like very close to 50% right now. And then like I have like a tier below in like the like mid 30s of George, Harden, and AD.
For sure, for sure. Here's a good question. I actually like this question. Do you think it's stupid to fade all the studs and go balance? So
Definitely stupid.
it's not stupid, but it's unlikely, right? Like you actually have done research on this season, and it's pretty like it's very rare you're gonna find a lineup without at least one stud in there. That one,
especially on small slates, right? Like the raw points really matter, right? On a 9-game slate, yeah, you can find 9, 10, 15, 6K guys that go for 40s and 50s and are the best plays point per dollar. But on 4-game slates, there's just not enough guys in that range that are going to be the best plays. And even if LeBron goes for, 50, like that might be better than a 6K guy going for 32. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's like 4.8x versus 6.2, the raw points will matter as well. And I don't think you can fade them all. I think you want at least one. Now, I don't think you can get too many more, especially if you're talking Harden, because there's just not enough really good value. We got a couple plays between like 4K and like 55, 56, like that are decent. You can fill up a lineup of like 2 studs and, 5 or 6 of those kind of guys. And that may be what's optimal, but fading them all, not having one of those raw studs in the high raw score, I think is going to be tough. There's just, name me 8 guys, like under 7K that can go for 40 today. Is there even that many on the slate?
I agree with you.
Right? Like, all right, we both like Chris Middleton. All right, Clint Capella. The 2 guys from San Antonio, even all 3. All right, so we got 5. Murray, DeRozan, and LMA. Who the fuck else? Name another mid-tier player that you like today.
No, I'm with you, and I think you explained it perfectly. The bottom line is on these 4-game slates, the raw points matter more. I'm not saying like, and it's a balance though, because if you load up on Harden, but you pick all shitty 3K guys, 3-5 guys that all give you shit, it's not good. You have to have the balance. We're not saying you have to jam the best stud, the highest price guy in there. It's not about that. It's about, at the end of the day, you rely on those Chris Middletons and those other guys to get you that 6, 7, 8x, and you're relying on the stud on this kind of slate just to raw points and get as many points as you possibly can to put me over the top. That's really all you're asking for at that point. So I agree. Like I to build that team like that with this many studs and not have any at all, I like one. I think one is one to 2. That's like the sweet spot, right? If it's Harden, it's 1 for sure.
That's why I like Russ so much. I mean, he's $3,100 cheaper than Harden, and like you can fit Russ with Paul George and Rudy Gobert with a nice lineup. You know what I mean? But Giannis, Harden, that's just such a significantly higher portion of your salary.
Got it. I did see one about the road. Here we go. Oh shit, where was it? Thought I just had it. Now the question was about DeRozan. Something about, do you like DeRozan? What do you think about DeRozan? Here we go. Angel. Sorry about that, Angel.
He's fine. Like that game's gonna have to go to overtime, or all the others blow out for that to be like the best game on the slate. But they're underpriced. They feel more like cash game plays than tournament plays, though.
No, I understand that. They fit the balance thing. Like, I'm going to have some DeRozan. I'm going to have some LMA. Like, they fit the balance message, but not any. They're not necessarily strong. Like, I like Middleton way more than I like either of those. I like, Lou Will way more than I like either of those guys, and they're even cheaper. But I'll have some of them sprinkled in because it is Brooklyn, good spot. That game has overtime potential. Every game, all these games do. And that could really, differentiate. But, what's interesting is Rosen could also be an interesting pivot off Murray. If you're worried about Murray's ownership, if he does, maybe DeRozan picks up the slack. I mean, it's potential. But I'm with you for the most part on that. Yeah, I will have I like Lou Harold. Check the Wise stream chat. So Wes going to have Paulie on tilt tonight. That's from Weiner Diner 49er. Shout out to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm guaranteed like half my teams are dead.
Tilt City.
It was like 2016 the last time Russ did well for me. But there was a comment in the crowd like, just found you guys and you're pushing Vince Carter. I'm out of here. Like, we play 150 teams or more, right? And it's a 4-game slate. And like, I was talking about getting like 7% of him. I'm just like, I spoke about him because no one else out there is. And like, he went for 21 in back-to-back games. Like, that could get you Harden and Giannis on a team and win you a tournament. So I'm not pushing Vince Carter. I'm saying have him on like 6 out of 100 teams and hope that he does it one more time. But we're not like pushing him. So, some of you guys are new, like it's MME life in DFS, especially basketball. Like you got to get as many teams as possible. And on these 4-game slates, like you gotta take a little bit more risks because there's just not enough players in the pool. And those are the ones usually there's like this one guy that you don't think of that gets some minutes because of, who knows what. And that's what, it only takes one.
That's right. No, I completely agree. That's the whole point of the MME. I mean, obviously, if your core is right and you're going to have a great day, but you could have a pretty shitty day, be wrong about a lot of shit, and be able to sneak one up. All it takes is one. Save your night. Let's go. But obviously, the goal is to smash your core and just do dirties all over everyone and just brag about it later and have yourself a good old time. But yeah, it's a good point. Like, it's funny. Like I saw the same thing. We understand it. We've been doing this for years. We've been around. We've been doing this, bro. Some of you guys may not know. We've been doing this. You know what I mean? We've been doing this. We've been here.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between us. Like a player that we both pushed today, Chris Middleton. We both pushed him today, right? We talked pretty extensively about him. We pushed him. But mentioning that there's a player in a game on a 4-game slate that, like, don't be surprised if I end up with 5%. Because it only takes one, and if he ends up on one of those, teams that I didn't think had a shot, hey, if he saves my night, I'm not mad about it. But we get it. And they're like swimwear, Weiner Data did have a question though. I didn't see it above when I made the comment about the Westbrook tilt. How much Royce O'Neal interest?
A little. Like he's been playing good minutes and scoring well. This is like a optimal opponent for turnovers and blocks and whatnot. So yeah, I'm cool with him. I think Royce O'Neal is a far better value play than Bruno Fernando.
Boom. Dropping dirties. I guess a job. Because it is.
It is.
It is a job, bro.
That's what I do.
That's what it is. All right, time to get the old. Oh, damn. The fuck is this?
What?
The hell? Oh, I got this old shit popping up on me. I was trying to download the CSV file and it popped me up some shit and there were already teams filled in. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't do this. And it was my file from yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, it happens all the time.
All the time, son.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
So. Yeah.
Shakalaka.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still tinkering, but right now, my top 5 is Russ Westbrook, Chris Middleton, LeBron, Lou Williams, Jared Allen. Those are my top 5 high-point guys.
Boom.
Actually, Rudy Gobert is tied with Jared Allen, and I may actually increase Gobert a tad and decrease Allen a tad.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's not like overly. It's only a 4-game slate. It's not overly crowded. But Jared Allen, Capella, Gobert, they're just all in really good spots. Yeah. They're all in really good spots. They are in there.
Yep.
In there like swimwear.
LMA.
LMA. Yep. Dirty style. We know how that goes. Been there. Been there. Wave your hands. Hey, it's just weird. Are you gonna have you like Lou Will better than Rondo, right? I know you like them both, but
Yeah, I do, but they're
pretty close, right?
there's $1,100 difference there. So
Yeah.
if Rondo
I'm
gets
just
30,
I'm just saying in terms of like who you would have higher exposure to.
yeah, I'll have more of Lou, but Rondo's not too far below, to be honest.
No, I'm with you. I do like the Rondevious one. Rondevious Maximus is what I like to call him. You know. He does the dirties to all the neighbors. You done did what I said did. Not really, you didn't. Don't you suck on sevens. See if there's any questions. We are what? 30 minutes? AD gonna get Giannis defense? That is the question.
Yeah, some of the time.
Yeah, at times. They do get staggers a lot too. Shout out to Warner Data 49er for the kind words. Man, you guys have won me more money in NBA DFS than any of those other pros out there. Shout out to you, bro. Longtime member of the WiseTake Nation. That's what we do it for, baby. He's been with us for years, man. It's a loyal ass member right there,
long
man.
time.
Speak the truthuses with my front toofuses, Let's go. In a game, this is my life right here, man. My life, bro. Let's go. Let's go. Is that motivating while you build your teams, Paulie? Is that motivating you, bro? Let's go. For real, though.
Man, this thing's just trying to jam the Newell house into my life.
Bro, it's because it projects so well. It's the only reason. I'm going to have a lot of them. I'm going to. It's just. No. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh. How much hard do you think you're going to play?
My first crunch, and I split mine up into like 30, 30, and like 65 or something, because I do like different stacks or whatever. It gave me none in the first two batches of 30. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm kind of forcing him in a little bit into the next batch so that I do get some. Yeah. And I actually don't mind not having him in the stacks because I feel like when Harden goes the fuck off, the rest of his guys don't do as much. And the game when Toronto doubled him, right, all the other Rockets did well. So I'm actually all right with that. But now I need to force him into these next non-stack combos.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Makes sense on him. 10 minutes to Lockington. So, Nation, real quick, I want to hear from you guys. How are your neighbors doing? How are your neighbors doing?
Hopefully not good.
Are you dropping dirties? Are you doing that dirty? Are you doing that dirty to the neighbor? I don't know if you are. But you will tell me. Out of balance. Scott McMillan says, Bruno going to go for 20. Take it and move on.
Bruno? I'll take Rondo's 30.
Rondevious Maximus.
Where are you at on Bruno?
I'm not really playing him at all. I mean, that could bite me in the ass, but... Because I don't even know what to project this dude for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I project Foul trouble.
I mean, it's Gobert. He's like 6'10", trying to guard Gobert. Not that Gobert is like a super aggressive on the offensive end, but it's gonna be hard to box him out, man. He's gonna be hard. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I need it. Like for Bruno, like even at say he's 3K, like I'm not really into James Harden, and I'm going more balanced, so I'm just not enough opened up for me to ditch my balance shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not enough happened. Not enough happening. Well, not enough happening.
Where are you at with Jabari Parker?
I lowered him quite a bit. I ended up lowering his minute projection by like a full minute because I think that's reasonable, right? It's not an overreaction. He's gonna miss some, and it kind of lowered his projection enough. I did in turn get a little bit more Prince, but I'm not that mad about it. I only got like 15% Prince anyway. I was only gonna have like 15% of Barker, so it just made sense. It's like I had to change something. Hearing he's not starting, I had to change something.
Yeah.
What about you? You got any
So, Bruno?
Yeah.
Yeah, 18.
18 on the Bruno. There you go. All right, maybe I'll get a
That's
little something. No, I know.
That's like this equivalent of like 5.
No, I know. It's true. It is true. It is true. I'm just not really into it though, yo. Like, nah.
Well, how much Len did you have?
I didn't really have much, man, because I got so much of the centers up top between Gobert, Capella, Montrezl Harrell. I have a lot of, and I had some Jared Allen. It didn't leave me with a whole ton.
I feel it.
Just didn't. Now I'm getting like, oh man. See, that's the problem. Is it's trying to give me a little bit of Len, Jones, and Fernando. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, it's a lot of commitment action right there, man. I think what I'm gonna do is cap all these suckers at like 5, except for maybe Bruno. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, Bruno does the dirty. That would suck for me today. The place. All right, you convinced me. I'm raising it on him.
What's his ownership projection? It's got to be like 25%.
Really? You think it's gonna be high? Hey.
Game min price guys starting on a 4-game slate. No, with a slate where we're dying to get studs, it's got to be projecting that.
Yeah, I'm seeing like 17%.
I said 25.
25. Let me see what it is.
I think
around
dirty.
20 or so. It looks like it. So I guess that's a good point. I'll grab some. I still don't love it, but it's true. He's 3K. If I'm gonna take the chance on like some of these other guys like KCP and these other dudes, why wouldn't I take a 3K center? Right? Like, good call. Good call. That's what the show is all about, though. That's why we do this.
What about the other dude that's starting from Duke?
Cam Reddish?
Yeah.
So I was looking into it, man. His usage without Jabari on the court and with Trae Young on the court just really is not impressive. It looks like Hunter is kind of the next guy in that pecking order. And then Reddish is kind of just, I'll have some because he's cheap. And I would assume maybe he goes back to getting closer to that 29 minutes he was playing before. So I definitely think he's a viable value play. Him I was a lot more into than Jones, but now after talking, it does make sense to grab some Jones. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Grab some.
You mean Fernando, right?
Yeah. What the fuck I was talking about. But you knew. I didn't know, but you knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, but you knew.
All right, so like what are your top 3 highest on give me 5. Top 5 highest on value plays.
Oof. The new value, like value. Like Rondo is value or no?
Yeah, under 5.
Okay, under 5. The new house, Rajon Rondo, under 5. I think George Hill is kind of the next guy because I got the rest of them all around like the 20-ish range. I've got a good chunk of Rondo, a good chunk of House, and then most of these other plays is like 20 max, including Bruno. Because again, like the higher exposed guys that I got are the expensive ones.
Did you play any Lonnie Walker?
That's a good question. Let me see if I did or not. 4 minutes to Lockington. You gonna drop that on me? You gonna drop that dirty burger on me with 4 minutes left? I think I have like 3% Lonnie Walker right now.
All right, good.
It's all that's necessary, That's it. That's all we're looking for. A little something. Yo, how much Pat Bev are you playing?
Like 18-ish. He's one of my higher owned values.
For sure. How much Donovan Mitchell are you playing?
20-ish, maybe a tad less.
Yeah. Mitch.
I don't like that game much. I'm finding it harder and harder to see it being close,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
I know we don't like to predict blowouts, but that change, I was worried about it before that. Now you take Jabari out, the one I don't care whether he's in good favor with the coach or not. He's a vet, he can ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was for Bruno Fernando, a rookie against one of the tougher centers in the league. That's rough.
I feel you.
Welcome to the NBA, kid.
Welcome. NBA. Dirty Durkin. Three minutes to lock. I gotta get this up. Be the right one. Be the right one. Be the right one. Let's go. Make it happen. What we got here? 2 minutes to lock. 2 minutes to lock. I'm gonna have to live with this, and that's fine. I'll do what I do. Knew what I knew. Blew what you blew, screw what you screw. What? Alright. I'm gonna upload that final CSV, and it is time to write them, sign. DK entries. So, no, we was hoping to get some crazy, exciting news. Nothing really happened other than Anthony Davis ruled in, Nwaba available to play. And you know what? That's a good day, bro. I know maybe it makes for a little bit of a boring experience on the show, but at the end of the day, that's kind of a good thing. Those of you on DraftKings, your slate is not about to necessarily end yet. You are still waiting for some information. Things could change. You got late swap FanDuel. Set it, forget it. Go do your thing. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your life. And if somebody gets late scratched, hopefully you have insurance on your phone because you're probably going to want to throw that shit through a window. But aside from that, we're going to wish everybody the best of luck. We are 1 minute away from lock at this point. A lot of people asking about Cash, man. A lot of people ask about Cash, and Cash is our boy. We love Cash. I'll answer this before we get out of here because a lot of people ask about this. We did a farewell show for him and everything. Cash was still cool. It's all good. Cash is very busy, man. He's got a job where he works crazy long hours and he's on the road a lot and, driving trucks and whatnot. And, he's got a big family. He's got like 3-4 kids. What was it, 4 kids?
Oh,
4 kids. So, he ultimately decided he couldn't do this anymore and just didn't want to do it. So he stepped down. That's all. It's no bad blood, no beef, nothing there. Cash is still our boy. Still check on him. He couldn't do it, man. Dude's got He's a man. He got responsibility like a man. What are you gonna do? It happens. Shit happens. But I see the comments all the time, everything like that. We love him too. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, bring him back, bring him back." I'm like, "Yo, it wasn't our decision to let him go. He would still be here." It's like if he can't do it, it's because he can't do it. It's not because we don't want him here. Don't get me wrong. We're gonna hold shit down and do what we do because we're the WiseTake Nation, and we're just gonna keep rolling like we always do. But yeah, just to address that. Oh, of course. Who does?
I wish he would. Not me.
We drop references to him all the time because we still, he's still our boy. I can confirm he's not in jail. There was a rumor going around that he was locked up. I can confirm he's not in jail. Paulie did speak to him recently. He's not in jail, so shout out to him. Bucks starting lineup is out right as we hit lock, and it is Giannis, DiVincenzo, Matthews, Middleton, Brook Lopez. That is going to wrap shit up for today. Scott McMillan says, just shows DFS ain't profitable. Not for me. No, bro. a lot that goes into it, bro. And then the reason a lot of these content providers like us even exist is, some people don't have the time, right? It takes a lot of research. Like I spent hours fucking looking into this shit, looking into situations, such and such play minutes. Why? Right? Sometimes people don't have the time, and that's what we're here for, to help you with, to help fill you in the details.
Yeah, and the way Cash and DFS played, he was very, very GPP risk. Took chances. Right, the first year I met him when we met at the live final in Chicago, he had won like 60 grand that year. That's good fucking money, right? The next year he had a really rough year, right? But right, so at the end of the day, on the books, it's like a break even. You didn't really make money, but the year you made 60, that helped him buy a house and change his life a little bit, So that was the way he wanted to play. You know what I mean? So is DFS profitable? Sure, but you got to make it fit to what your goals are. And most people are in this for the score, not the daily grind. And
right.
That kid won a lot of money the first year. It was wild.
Yeah,
He was hot.
Like you said, it's about a goal, right? Like he's got a job, he's got all different things. His schedule doesn't really fit that of an MME type player or somebody who can really grind out cash games. And Cass's whole philosophy, after chalk everything, and the industry is constantly changing. The field is sharper nowadays. Chalk isn't the same that it was a year ago. Better chalk is higher owned, worse chalk is sometimes lower owned. It's just like, it's not the same, and you have to be able to adapt. And Cash's goal was to win at 50 to 100 grand, but he was willing to lose. He was willing to lose 90% of the nights to do that because the payoff would be way bigger. All it took was that one big one, and he's way profitable because it's not like he's playing, thousands of dollars a night. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day,
he played little and to try to win big. So, he wasn't giving back profits. Cash liked to hang on to his money.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, the way you play, it's the same thing in the stock market. There's people out there who will sit there and tell you the stock market is not profitable. It depends on how, your goals, how it fit your goals. It depends on how much risk you allocate, you took on, what you were invested in. There's a lot of variables involved. There's plenty of people out there who argue the contrary, and tell you, nah, bro, I fed my whole family for years off the stock market. So it's a similar situation. You have to find the style that fits you. If you're working a full-time job and you don't get out of work till 6 o'clock, then NBA is going to be stressful for you because you got a lot of catching up to do in that hour. You know what I mean? If you have a job where you have the time to keep track as you're going throughout the day, maybe it won't be as bad. But whether you're playing MME, if you're playing single entries, you need to be in contests that are either going to, if you want to win more often, be in contests that are going to put you in a position to win more often by playing against less people. If you're willing to play the long game, get as many lineups as you can so that you don't lose and do some damage control. So you do 150 teams. Hopefully you don't lose all 150 teams and you get some money back, even if you didn't have a great day. And then finally you hit those big pops. We're gonna do a show soon anyway, highlighting it on YouTube. You guys could check it out. But we're gonna go over some of the stuff we've done. We've had some pretty good success this year. We're gonna show you guys some of the stuff and kind of what our message is. I know a lot of you are checking us out. But I understand what you're saying completely, Scott. I'm not saying that by any means you're wrong. It's hard. It's not easy. A lot of people, everybody would love to do this. If that was the case, everybody would. Nobody would fucking work if you could just, that easy to just come here, build teams, and make a living. It is what it is. With that said, we are gonna get up out of here.
Main message is,
what's up?
Do the dirty before the dirty gets done to you.
As always, for Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, smash the like button. We'll see our mofos tomorrow. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.